So thanks everyone for joining us. So we have about 20-ish participants plus the Qualabs Great Hall, which I don't see exactly, but probably like 10-ish people down there. So thank you very much for joining us. So this is our second round of Mate Talks. Mate is the thing we drink in Uruguay, Argentina, Paraguay, south of Brazil. It's quite unique of the region, and it's like our coffee. And we normally drink it during conversations. So it would be normal to make like a sort of a round table, and you would be sharing the mate. That was pre-COVID. Post-COVID, the sharing the thing and sipping from the same bombilla is not the same anymore. But well, for us, it made a lot of sense to make it Mate Talks. And last time it was we talked after my high video SBTA segments in Streaming Media East with some participants and organizers to see what like their key takeaway from that event. And this time we've invited 3 great speakers and friends from the industry that have agreed to join us and chat about what we might all be looking at or maybe expecting from IBC, which is actually in 1 month exactly. So welcome first my great friend Olga Kornienko. She's the COO and co-founder of EZDRM. Welcome, Olga.
Thank you very much. It's very good to be here. And as we talked just a little bit earlier, I'm so mad I left my little mate cup at home, though I probably would have had to put water in it because I don't have the actual drink, but I am still very mad I forgot about it because you were so gracious to bring it for me.
I can bring another one if you want. So you can keep one.
No, it's at home. I'm currently at the office. It's literally at home.
We Uruguayans would have a mate in the office, a mate at home, like mate everywhere. It's like your coffee cups. Then we have, I'm going to try to pronounce these. So it's Francois Guilleautot. My French is not good. And he's the cloud solution director of Ateme. Welcome, Francois.
Yeah, thank you. You did great on the pronunciation, much better than most people would say. I'm impressed. And I'm also feeling terrible. I made the same mistake as Olga. I do have a Mate cup, and I couldn't bring it with me. So I guess the lesson is everyone needs more Mate cups everywhere.
Thanks. And last but not least, Andy Beach. Probably many of you guys know him. He is the CTO for media entertainment worldwide for Microsoft. Welcome, Andy.
Hi, thanks a lot. I also do not have a mate cup. I do have an espresso cup, and I'm working on the dregs of my 4th or 5th of the day, so it's probably my last. Perfect.
I expect you guys have one mate cup after IBC when we can meet in person.
Fair.
So well, that's brings us here. So you've been introduced, and probably you guys have been to IBC several times. No. How many IBCs do you guys have? And
so I'm going to start because I think it's going to be very easy for me. I'm quite new to the industry. I have actually never been to IBC, so it's going to be yeah. It's the last major show that I think I haven't been to. I haven't been to Capsat either, but I think it's the last one on the list that I need to take. So I'd be curious to hear what you guys have to say about it.
Andy, I think we need to take him under our wing and make sure he has the proper IBC experience. For me, it is probably 6, 7, something along those lines. Definitely not as much as Andy, but yeah, it's about 6 or 7.
It's for me, let's see, I want to say 2004 was my first one, but I've skipped a couple of years. So I think I'm up to 17 IBCs now.
Maybe you should take all of us under your wing then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel older when I talk about NAB because since it's in North America, I actually went to NAB even when I was in college. And so I've been going to NAB since 1996, and I think I'm up to 25 or 26 of those.
Wow.
So probably you were there when H.264 was a new shiny thing.
Oh yeah, but it literally wasn't even being talked. The first year I went, the North Hall of NAB was literally like radio antennas on display.
And CDs were a big thing?
Definitely DVDs. I can't tell you how many DVD software programs at IBCs and NABs that I've looked at through the years.
Nice.
What about you, JP? How many IBCs do you? Putting you on the spot.
So this is going to be the 7th time for me, but probably very different IBCs. Because my first one was actually when Qualabs was probably like a week old. So it was like, I think my agenda had like 5 meetings. I was like, let's see what's going on. And I recall having like 3 and spare nights. And now I see my 6 p.m. plus agenda, and it's like 2-3 events every day, like dinners and after office and the other after office and the after office. And so yeah, it's been a cool ride, making it from scratch. And then, yeah, this time we're going to be 4 of us from the team coming in. So it's also like a new experience for us to have like multiple agendas at the same time. Okay. So cool. And so the last IBC was like the first one after the pandemic, everyone returning to Amsterdam and Europe. And I think reconnecting in person was quite a thing last year. First at NAB, which I think was a thing, and then IBC. But what are you guys expecting from this one? What do you expect, Olga, from this IBC compared to last one?
I think it'll be a lot. It's actually kind of hard to say, because knowing that some companies have tightened their budgets and others are spending more, but not exponentially more. I think it's going to be a lot more of, I'm going to go the same. And to me, the same is the after 6 p.m. stuff, in a sense of, it's great to do business like this virtually. It is absolutely wonderful to catch up and allow the 3 of us to participate at your get together, because otherwise we wouldn't be able to do this. Virtual allows us to do all sorts of things, but it definitely doesn't allow us to give somebody a hug or sit down and talk about what the crazy dog did the other day, or the spouse, or the last vacation. It's the things we don't talk about. So I feel like, as much as is important to do work during all of these events, the personal connections and the personal conversations we get out of all of these things are way more important. And I think less than the first NAB after the pandemic, people were shy. And like, they were still like, are we hugging? Are we fist bumping? Are we elbow bumping? What are we doing? At NAB last year, I think I got more hugs than I got the 4 years beforehand, because it was like, I don't care anymore. Just come here. I missed you. And I think that's what we're going to get this year as well. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think there's something to be said for that in-person experience. The virtual allows us to connect, more effectively and find ways to patch over it, but there are conversations that are lost in that. You feel like you have to have more of an agenda to get through all of the things, and the best meetings at IBC happen at night, and they happen over conversations, and it's over drink and food and catching up, and you're telling stories about the projects you're working on and the people you're working with, and you discover new correlations and new combinations of things. And invariably that comes back to the day job and the work that we're all doing together and the things that we want to move forward. I can't tell you how many times I've invented whole new products. I want to go stop doing my job and just work on that project over drinks at IBC, where it was like, if we owned all of the world and did it, we'd do it this way. And it's like, my God, that's actually a great idea. But like, I need to write that down.
Or the number of times you've elbowed me and said, hey, do you know so-and-so? I'm like, no, you got to go meet him. Come on. Yeah. And it doesn't happen over Zooms.
No. And I think I agree with Olga. I think there's been a change, and I think people are more conscious about it. And I can see it in my agenda, and then the discussion I have with the customers. I'm getting more requests, more question about what I'm doing at night, those nights of IBC, than actual like during the day meeting. People are more interested to know what I'm doing 6, 7 p.m. rather than 2, 3 p.m. or in the morning. So I think there's been a change in mindset, and the importance of the human aspect of it is I think has really come through.
Well, that's probably also why Mark from CDN Alliance puts together a list of all the parties and events that go on. And for anybody who's never done this, find Mark and find his list. I haven't seen it yet, but I know it's coming.
Yeah, I know. I don't think it's ready yet, but he's promised it's coming, and we do that. So, yeah, I'm actually expectant in it. And every year it's like, oh no, these events same time, these one, how we're gonna make it. But yeah, actually, I think it's the part we most expect from it. And so do you come with are you going to be looking for something, like looking for any specific innovations, looking for any specific trends, or do you just expect like serendipities to surprise you and people to come? How's that? Maybe you, Andy.
I personally always come with my list of working assumptions of what I'm going to see, but then I'm always conscious or mindful of like the thing I didn't expect, and so I don't want my preconceived list to bias so that I don't accidentally see those items as I'm as I'm looking at it. So like, you know, for me personally, and then I'll let the others chime in on, and hopefully we'll have different things, because then it'll give me ideas of other things I should be looking for. But like Microsoft's had a lot to do with AI this year. I don't know if anybody's heard that yet. But I know
just a few billions.
Yeah, I know a lot of my conversations will be AI related. And in fact, every demo in our booth is AI related. So I know that there's going to be more elements of that. But I'm also spending a ton of time working with people on edge scenarios. How do we get content into the cloud to do something more effective with it? And how do we do that more programmatically? And so I suspect I'll have lots of virtualized software solutions or containers that things are working in, or the right SMPTE standard to use for those ingress protocols. So I think the live conversations I have will probably be a lot of the ingest, and then a lot of AI across the board for the pieces that I'm looking at and thinking about.
See, I am lucky if I get out of our booth, because as you walk by our booth, feel free to check, make sure that I'm okay and bring me a sandwich, because chances are I haven't left the booth and I don't know what the bathroom looks like. Because when people start scheduling meetings, I mean, last year everybody's like, oh, IBC is Monday's a dead day. I'm like, I don't know about you, but IBC is done at 4 p.m. I had a meeting scheduled at 2, 2:30, 3, 3:30, 4, and 4:30. And then drinks at 5. So I am hoping to be able to talk about what we do and touch more on the security aspect of things, and maybe delve into some of the stuff about content provenance. But outside of that, if I have a chance to get out, I would love to see what's actually out there and what people are talking about. I've heard this thing about AI, but it's so new, and we'll see if the trend holds.
Yeah, I'm with Olga and Andy here. I think they're mostly on the AI train. There are two very clear hot topics for us. It's going to be cloud and AI, and the AI thing is clearly it's the only word that is on everyone's mouth. Everyone is talking about AI. Everyone is thinking about it. But not everyone is really sure about what to do with it or how to use it. And a lot of the conversation we have are on the video side, on how you can use video, AI for video. What can we do with it? Clearly, it's a hot topic. It's a new thing. It's a shiny new thing. But we don't really know what to do with it. So I think it's going to be crucial. The next 6 to 9 months are going to be very important for the video industry to figure out what we do with this AI thing. I've met Juan Pablo at MonteVIDEO, where we made a presentation on AI usage for video encoding. So how we use AI and Gen AI inside the encoding core to improve performance. We also have, with experimenting with AI for subtitle conversion, live translation, live transcription, all this sort of things. But personally, I feel like this is still surface level. I personally think AI could do so much more, and we just haven't found the right way to use it. And I think maybe Andy, have you heard of any cool AI applications in the video space?
Oh, I mean, I feel like my full-time job has become just tracking use cases of, here's another way AI solves a thing. So, in the distribution side, I'd say I'd say overall, I've probably got a running list of well over 100 at this point, from pre-production all the way through distribution of how it goes. But I'd say the ones that I've been talking about a lot lately are brand aware and content aware advertising. How do we go scrape the metadata of both live and VOD in order to better inform the ads that are placed against certain scenes and certain things, or even better, brand safety? How do you avoid putting the car ad after a big car crash, or other elements? That's certainly one. Using the AI in linear video, or in a live sports broadcast, to bring up clips from the archive of past things that might be talked about, or athletes that are referred to, or previous goals that have happened that are similar. Invariably, part of sports is talking about how this reminds you of another thing. Being able to surface that clip out of a pool of content becomes a super critical piece. On the pre-production side, before you even get to the video aspect, just being able to ingest a script and do things like create the production notes, the shot breakdown, the planning and scheduling around, which characters and which props are required at which scenes on which days that we're shooting. That's time consuming work that line producers spend a lot of time doing, and is a highly automatable task for them, so that they're still doing it, but now they're able to free up their time to go focus on other things. So I think there's a never-ending barrage, and the thing that I keep saying in meetings with folks is, stop thinking of AI as one big AI that's going to get dropped in. It's 1,000 little AIs that get spread across, and it's that overall improvement of efficiencies that just makes it, that sort of lifts the boat and makes everything feel faster and better and easier to do.
Makes a lot of sense. And actually, we were discussing previously, and actually I think Scott Kelliker's in the audience, and we're discussing on LinkedIn the post, if we were expecting some people talking about AI, because I hear everyone talking about AI everywhere, but there are, as you said, the thousand use cases, because you could be using AI for whatever. It's like mentioning Python or Java. It has so many use cases. I think you're muted, Andy.
Sorry, somebody in the room asked me a question. I was trying to answer them. Apologies.
Oh, no problem. I thought you were talking. So yeah, I think there are so many use cases, and I'm surprised, because if I go and see websites of all the companies out there, not large companies like AWS and Microsoft, like the most of the vendors out there that are let's say niche or segments, and not platform vendors. And maybe they mentioned some AI application, but I don't see many real use cases out there. So I'm really expecting what's actually working out there, besides the buzz and the actual thing that AI is going to be a thing. And I'm surprised about what well, not surprised. And I think it makes a lot of sense, because the first thing you mentioned, Andy, was like content-aware advertising as one of the first use cases. And I think it connects well with what Olga was saying, that, yeah, this year everyone tightened their budgets and they're like trying to make media and entertainment profitable. So do you think, and actually it's a question for the three of you, like, do you think the market trend is making the industry profitable, and then the technology trend is how to enable that? Or what are you seeing there?
Yeah, I think I can give my 2 cents here. I think absolutely profitability is a huge aspect of a huge concern right now, especially I would say like traditional broadcasters, that have invested billions putting cables on the ground, setting up terrestrial TV and all of this, and they're seeing all the growth is coming from streaming, but all the money is coming from the old platform. So they're trying to manage this transition of, embracing streaming with all the benefits it comes with, but also managing cash flow and profitability, and making sure that that transition happens in a as smooth way as possible. And I think one of the things we're going to announce at IBC is so it's called, the name is not really sexy. If you look at the press release, I think it's a classic. You can tell Ateme is an engineering company. This is terrible branding. I wish we picked a different name. It's classic engineering stuff. We're just going to put a technical. So they call it raw processing, cloud native raw video processing. And if you read this, you're just like, okay, what's going to do for me? And I think it enables incredible workflows for exactly this issues of managing the transition from legacy to new. Because what it allows us to do is in software, doing video processing in the memory space of an instance. So again, still very technical. If you put a use case on that, you can think of, ad-enabled fast channels, free ad-supported channels that are created in a fragmented space. They're created with existing assets that are sitting in the cloud. Oh, sorry. Yeah, and then with this new solution, you can take those channels, relinearize them, and then distribute them over legacy networks. So that what this does is allows the end user to get the same programmation on a streaming platform and on the traditional platform from the same operator. So you give more consistency to the end user. You bring fast channel, very highly profitable fast channel that generate a lot of income to a traditional network. And overall, it's really, you enable all the AI smarts, and then all those smarts of fast channel, you bring that to your traditional network. So this is really, I think, one of the trends we're going to see, like finding ways to make sure the end user experience is aligned on traditional network and on streaming, and then that you monetize this as well as you can. And fast channel has been a hot buzzword for this for a few months now.
Well, see, but I also think that at the same time as streaming is growing, the industry is realizing that streaming is not cheap, and it's definitely not free. And I think that this is where, and it's interesting, somebody asked me the other day about piracy, and I said that part of it is education, because I feel like a lot of people, especially in the younger generation, feel like, piracy is pirating of content is a victimless crime because studios make money and blah, blah, blah. And I think what the current strikes are showing is that, yes, studios are making money, but it doesn't trickle down to the people who are writing the content and like the actors who are not your big, ginormous names like Brad Pitt. It doesn't trickle down to anybody. And as I was listening to somebody talks about the fact that like actors weren't making enough money to get health insurance, which is like mind blowing and scary if you pause and just think about it. So I feel like in today's world, people are starting to realize how important having, just an overall proper streaming solution is that basically joins the whole number of partners to provide a very concise, but also very economical solution that does address every single need, including proper encoding and ad placement and security and proper playout, but also in a way that allows everybody to continue to be profitable. and maybe having, and yet again, my whole big thing about education, that it is not a victimless crime when you just share passwords, pirate content and whatnot, because people need to get paid and people need health insurance, as, you know, as benign as so as it may sound.
Yeah, I think I feel like the pandemic didn't start this, but it sort of sped it up. I think even though we're now at a point where we're seeing a collapse of OTT platforms into other properties, but what I think we still hear out of those companies is they want a more direct relationship with the customer. They don't want to just license it to a Hulu or a Disney or someone else. They want to own a relationship, and having some sort of streaming platform that allows you to have that direct relationship and manage your B2B licensing and business ideally as well, so that you're not running multiple different businesses. You're keeping it as a sort of a single pane of glass in a way, becomes fairly important. And I think that's the way we see the business maturing. The thing I think I've seen more of in the last probably year than ever before is a true effort to consolidate all of the data that normally flows and follows the video and the audio along, and having that data be more connected so that they're driving that experience in a more meaningful way. As part of it, data is becoming like a first-class citizen in media, whereas it used to sort of get thrown away at almost every stage, and then new metadata or new data got created around it for just production or just post or just delivery, and now we're seeing it more interconnected as it should be, frankly.
Well, and also speaking of metadata, we are actually involved with a project for the IBC Accelerator program that is called the narrative. Oh my God, I forgot the name of it on the spot. I'm sorry, Rude. But it's narrative content factory. Yeah, Rude is gonna just afterwards kill me. But the basic idea about this project that when I first heard about the project, was talking about the fact that it would allow people to somewhat customize their content. And you cannot do that without proper metadata. And there's a lot of conversation about whether AI should be involved in this and to what extent, or what humans need to check at the end. But the project itself is structured around the fact that if you have arguably epilepsy and you wanted to watch a Stranger Things that has a lot of flashing lights, there's currently a warning that says you cannot watch this if you have epilepsy, be careful. There's not a version of the content that would allow me just checkbox and say, give me the non-flashy version, or a version that says, I want to see this video, but I don't want to see all the violence. Give me the basically PG-13 version of this, but also allow to have the director creative control over what gets removed and what stays, to make sure that the narrative is kept and the director's voice is still heard at the end of it. And I feel like without metadata and proper metadata, this is completely impossible, because a lot of the meetings we have are structured around how do we make sure metadata is correct and who has the final say, and is there quality control over metadata and whatnot. And the idea of trying to do it manually without any sort of AI is just completely mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Wow.
It is actually a cool project. I'm very, very excited we're participating in it.
No, customization is definitely a huge topic, and I think AI is going to have a huge role to play in that story. Everyone expects more personalization now. You want the content to be tailored to you. You want your ads to be tailored to you. And we're going more to, eventually everything must be tailored to me. I want only the thing I want to see. And then this is going to be a transition we're going to have to go through. And I don't think it can be managed with people now. If you create a personal channel for everyone, you can't have a person just writing an EPG, making an EPG and building a sequence. You have to have some form of AI, or even at a simple level, just recommendation engine, and then with AI you could leverage more data and distribute personalized content to everyone, and that's a next step for us, I think.
Just for the records, I do not want better ads tailored to me because I spend enough. And I don't know what Facebook does. Not Facebook, Instagram. They're really good. Whatever their ad engine is.
They know everything.
I really do not want to see more ads because I really don't need to buy more stuff. That's,
It's obvious. They know you have a beautiful dog. That's only the only thing they need.
No, so no more better ad systems. If I had to give up one, that would be it. It's creepy how much they know. And I've looked it up because I don't want Root to be really mad at me. It's called the Responsive Narrative Factory, which the project that is around being able to tailor content to you. But yeah.
That's part of the IBC Accelerators program, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a couple out there. I know we're working on one around low latency production as well. So I look forward. That's another whole area. I sort of love to see what other groups have worked on through the year, because we know there's others furiously working on things, and I get to lean over Olga and Root's shoulder and hear what they're working on theirs. But otherwise, we're typically just busy on our pod, and then you turn around and you see there's 7 other projects out there that have been going on all year at the same speed that yours has.
I've never actually heard of the IBC Accelerator program until fairly recently, and I think it's actually quite an interesting project that if whoever has never been to IBC should probably check out. Speaking of things to look for at IBC, Andy just posted a link to all the stuff, but it's basically people pitch ideas, and I know that the one that we're working with started with how do we make it easier for content companies not to have 17 million versions of the same movie, but to chunk it out and say, I would like a version, in this language, or with, less violence, or no flashing lights, or different music because this music is not licensed in this country, and so on and so forth. And all of those things that come into play. But it is interesting to see what other people pitch and what it turns into, and watching sometimes competitors work together on a same project to deliver the end result for the customers at the end of the day.
Yeah, for exactly that reason, I find it fascinating. For example, Microsoft and Google are working on the same project together, and it's great for the industry. Like the way I always describe the accelerator program is it's an industry-wide year-long hack festival. It is a chance to take basically sort of a technical working group, define a problem, collect a bunch of people who also want to go help solve that problem. And then you spend several months sort of talking about designs and ideas that could lead to it. You all agree sort of a roadmap for testing and proving out the ideas. And then you sort of spend the summer before IBC sort of busily trying to get all the parts together somewhere in the world so that you can prove out the thing that you wanted to do, and then show it off on stage at IBC.
Yeah, I'm hoping I have some time to get away from the booth, to actually see some of the presentations, because they should be very interesting.
Yeah, I can see, and it's Infuse from our friend Rod. It's over there. Nice. Hope they did good. And Andy, this year was I think there's a news everyone read about Microsoft decision with the media solutions. So, and with your media services in Azure are leaning towards like partners. And is it because of your focus on AI? Is it like your focus on more being a sort of a platform? How is that impacting?
Yeah, so
if you want to talk about it.
No, happy to. I feel like that's another topic I've had to tell everybody. I literally had friends texting me going, "So do you still have a job at Microsoft?" And I was like, "Yeah, no, we're closing down a service, and it's a service that frankly has been plateaued for a number of years." So for those who are unfamiliar with Azure Media Services, it really grew out of work. We started with the Olympics years ago, before I was even at Microsoft, to create sort of cloud-based distribution pipelines for content. Over the years, their charter and their mandate changed. They became much more of an enterprise video-focused solution. It was actually part of our Office suite for a long time in terms of the same product line. And so it was really more focused not on the M&E space, but the use of video in enterprise business and solutions around that. So to that end, it was just poorly named to begin with as a starting point. But it was never well established or talked about in terms of how it changed. And even for the last, I'd say 5 to 6 years, it's not been a solution we recommend. We've always recommended the ecosystem partners that we have in this space, whether it's Harmonic, Bitmovin, others, MediaKind that are all out there, or others that are in the space that are on our platform and have a roadmap that is focused on the specs that an M&E customer wants. The hilarious conversation I had after the announcement was finally made with a couple of the customers were like, "Well, how, like, is this new service going to have 4K?" And I was like, "Of course it does, but AMS didn't have 4K, so why are you asking if it has 4K?" Like, and they're like, "Oh, maybe I didn't understand the limitations that AMS did have." And I was like, "Yeah, and those weren't things on their roadmap because they weren't things that a business customer needs." So to me, it simplifies the conversations. We're in the awkward period now where it is closing and we're helping customers migrate, but now we'll be in a position to have a much stronger partner-led from the start conversation rather than having to go through a dance of having to explain to others that, no, don't go use Azure Media Services. Yes, I know it's our first-party product, but no, it's not the right product for you.
But I think that kind of also blends into what, like, I've heard Microsoft and Simon talk about partners and partnerships and going into the direction of partners. And I feel like that kind of bleeds into one of the more important part of what we do at IBC and various other conferences is that, yes, it's important to see customers and do face-to-face with customers, but I think a lot of the time we talk to partners. We try to figure out how to make our solutions better, what we can do to make it easier, faster, whatever, and how to make it more cost-effective or, what makes more sense. And I think, at least for us, a lot more of our conversations are going to be in the direction of, let me talk to Ateme and Microsoft and whoever else we're partnered with to see how our solutions could be better, and what do you guys see in the world of customer requests that might make sense to implement or not. And that is partially why we, earlier this year, we announced DRM services around WebRTC and being able to stream DRM protected content over WebRTC. Because people have been asking us for a while now if we can do it, and because customers have been requesting it. And it's actually very interesting to see how many people unexpectedly are coming out going, "Oh, you're doing this, we want to test it." Because we're not a WebRTC company, we're a DRM security company. So we've been working with different companies to test WebRTC and DRM content over WebRTC. Can't really talk about the various things that people are testing strictly because NDAs and lawyers and fun things. But it is kind of interesting to see where that conversation is going as well. But that strictly came up because people kept coming up to us and going, "Do you guys do WebRTC? Do you WebRTC?" Because everybody's asking about it. So we'll see where it goes. It should be interesting.
And I mean, I think you started hearing a lot of those WebRTC conversations at past IBCs. Like that's where these things start. And now you have a product that gets to answer that, which is great. Yeah,
and we're doing we're working with everybody in the industry to see how people want to use it. We want to hear everybody's feedback. We have created a product that we think does what it's supposed to do, but there might be use cases and people testing and saying, no, try this and try that. So yes, if anybody's interested, please come test, give us feedback. We would like to make it work. Because at the end of the day, if it doesn't work for the customer, then what's the point to anything and everything that we're doing?
WebRTC feels an interesting niche in the media landscape because it has very obvious benefits, but it's never really got to the scale of, like, let's say HLS and Dash, and because of some limitation. I think security might have been one of those, and I think solving this might bring some changes to the industry, especially if we get to the scalability to the scalability of Dasher and with better low latency than even low latency Dash and low latency HLS, even if those are still making progress to this day.
It's funny, Andy, at some point I heard you say that AI took like it's been the topic everybody talked about. I just heard Francois say latency, and I'm like, wait, I don't think I heard people talk about latency in 8-9 months.
Yeah,
it's been AI. I'm like, wait,
that was
latency is a conversation.
Yeah, and
I think they're. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I also thank AI for allowing me to not talk about the metaverse.
Yeah, totally, and NFTs.
Yeah,
we don't have to talk about NFTs anymore. It's perfect. And but I think latency is still a thing, and actually, and maybe it's interesting because there. I'm not sure if there's being a shift in DC, but certainly there's being a shift in our industry that all our media technology is being used in way more different use cases than only media entertainment. There are all these new media use cases, cloud gaming, e-commerce, telemedicine, education, and probably you guys know 100 more use cases. So what do you think? Do you think we're going to see in IBC? Because we actually have several projects in WebRTC enabling all these and other technologies enabling like new use cases, say like hardware accelerated transcoding at scale, like ASICs, or like stuff that maybe don't make much sense to the traditional broadcasters or media players. But actually there were, I think I read the other day, 60 million streamers leave full time from YouTube in the world. So, and that's way more, like that's a lot of people, and it's a huge economy. So do you expect to see anything from new media in IBC, or do you expect that to be mostly concentrated in the broadcast and all stuff?
I think there's definitely a growing interest for that new space. It's funny you mentioned changes in technology and buzzword, and that just reminded me. I don't know if you know, Olga, Ateme used to be somewhat connected to the security world before. Before being in the broadcast industry, Ateme did encoding for security cameras. That was a big business of Ateme for a while, and then we've been flexible. We've drifted around in the video industry, and now we're clearly focused on the broadcast space. But yeah, we used to be in that security business for a while. And then I think we need to keep this flexibility, and then keep being on the next big thing. And the what we call the prosumer space, it is absolutely huge. You have influencers having businesses that are worth hundreds of millions of dollars, like literally hundreds of millions of dollars. I saw. I think it's a tech YouTuber in NAM got his company valued at over $100 million. So it's not a small business anymore, and these guys are just streaming on YouTube. So it's the market has to realize that this is where we're heading. New media is the future.
I think there was a definite disconnect even 10 years ago between sort of new media and traditional media, and it had to do a lot with the quality of the production equipment, the cost of transport, and all of that radically has changed. And you can now you have companies that are small shops that are producing pretty awesome like episodic content or documentary content, and it plays alongside of that other content, and I think the two are merging together. They're bumping up against each other more, and you find content that started as like a YouTube channel getting licensed by like Disney or National Geographic. I know they went through during COVID and pulled a number of YouTube style shows, or in some cases actual YouTube shows, and licensed them and turned them into Disney properties. And I think you see people who came out of that traditional space that want to have more control or want to focus on a very narrow slice of the content. And so they're becoming Twitch streamers or YouTube streamers or others as part of it. And there was one other thing I know I'll see at the show, because I just talked to these guys today while I was in Los Angeles. But this is a great example of something that it's an AI technology again that bridges the gap between those two. They have this company, Prime Focus Technologies, has a tool they launched at NAB called Reframe that takes existing content and can intelligently crop it into social media standards, and do things like, if it's a basketball scene, you can pick an athlete and the crop will dynamically follow that person through the shot. So that you have a more compelling piece. So they're finding ways to take traditional media content and automate the solution of bringing it into social platforms. And they even have tools around being able to measure the efficacy of that content in those platforms for the customers.
Yeah, but on the flip side, I also feel like we're going to be talking about the same old things about, is there still need to be a use for cloud, or do we need to still be on-prem? And because a lot of it is still technology vendors. And it's funny, there was a panel, JP, you mentioned streaming media. They did a panel, why are we still talking about this? And it's the idea for the panel was that they would bring up a topic and people try to guess when people first start talking about this. And there's so much conversation about the cloud, but we've been talking about that for how long? Andy would probably be able to tell us better with his longer industry travel experience, but forever. And that doesn't seem like it's going away. And the other day I've heard somebody go, oh, new topics about the cloud. I'm like, really? How new is that? Oh no, we're thinking about switching. What do you guys think? This is so new to us. Okay. But at the end of the day, I feel like there's still a lot of the very, very old conversations that keep on happening over and over and over again as well.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think if you go and read all the like all the booths, you sort of get a feeling of the topic of the year, because it could be cloud, but I recall a few years ago it was total cost of ownership. It was a cost comparison, and now we might see like monetize everywhere, and it's cloud too, but it's like how cloud can help you monetize and be more elastic on your costs. So actually it was fun, because I recall like at the end of the day every day saying like, hey, what was the word that we've read the most? And like everyone was using the same 3 words. My expectation this year is AI. I don't know what yours is.
Well, I think it's going to be AI.
Yeah, my mind's on AI as well. Well, AI, and then I think
Andy, you need to say something completely off the wall.
Well, then I think AI will end up being in the conversation, but I think everybody wants to save money this year. They don't necessarily. They would love to make more money, but I think it's probably more important that they save money, particularly given the economic climate of the last year. You combine that with the strikes going on in the US and operational efficiency, or whatever marketing phrase they can work out of it, will almost assuredly filter into the conversations that we're having in a major way.
And I think Andy's got a key point there. Like, there's usually kind of 2 groups of things that I think bubble up. It's the kind of what's hot and new and everyone wants to talk about, and it's almost a little bit from the marketing perspective, like, low latency, that was the thing, right? But everyone's like, oh yeah, we're gonna talk about, we're doing stuff, but we're not actually gonna commit too far because any number of features, reasons. But then there's what actually drives our world at the moment, and right now that theme is cost savings. right? How can we turn this business profitable? We have to be able to do more with less. How can we make this, function, but, find ways to really truly optimize that, and either make more money or essentially spend less. Like all conversations, that is the root seemingly right now. That doesn't mean other topics don't come up. But I still kind of put those in that kind of, well, we gotta play the marketing game bucket. But it might not be something that we're going to truly invest in much, just enough to be able to get those bylines.
Right.
Yeah. Beyond savings, I think the slight variation I would put my money on is monetization, which is it's an easy word to throw around, but it's slightly different. It's not about reducing costs. It's about, making more money on all this platform that you've invested in. So all these new streaming platforms that have grown at a loss for a very long time. Now they're like, okay, we can't lose money anymore, but we can't, downscale that. We spend so much effort scaling that up. So we need to monetize this. So we need to find, password sharing, cracking down password sharing from Netflix was not downscaling or making savings. It's about monetizing, about getting more money for the same platform. And then that proved very effective for them. And that's, that's a security issue that, Olga could probably talk about more. But also, ads. Again, ads. It's all about fast channels. It's all about personal advertisement. It's all about launching new service you can charge a premium for. I think monetization is going to be a big word at IBC this year.
Yeah, and yet I bet it's going to be in cost savings because I think we've been talking about monetization for a few years already, but money's not coming in. So, and the thing is that new revenue streams is something you wish for, but that you don't control. But cost is something you can control. So my bet's there too. But yet, Andy, I'm going to pay for that martini if cost savings is the topic of the year.
I'll meet you at the Blue Spoon Bar on Prinsengracht at the what is that? The Andaz Hotel.
Oh, is that what we're
Perfect.
all getting together?
Well, the L&B Whiskey Cafe is closed this year, sadly, so I had to go find another home.
Well, no, it's funny when we were JP, when you sent out the email about the panel, and you said tell a funny story about IBC, and I was like, tell a funny story, and then I'm like, wait, I think I met Andy at IBC. I think I met Francois somewhere else, right? At some other conference. But definitely I met Andy at IBC, and it was literally Joe from Streaming Media is like, come, I want to introduce you to somebody. This guy is a bit interesting, he said. And absolutely, it's been, I go back to meeting people and making contacts, and I think that's probably where you meet people. And I am actually very much looking forward to going back to IBC and just seeing people.
Awesome. So we're running out of time. I don't want to take people's more time from their agendas. So maybe as a last message, what event shouldn't we miss? Like, where do we have to be? And it needs to be a 6 p.m. plus event. Olga, what's your event?
So at this point, I'm going to put my -IF promotions working group chair hat on and go, the -IF is having a party at the Heineken Experience on Sunday. The invites will be public shortly, but if, be there or something. And that's the super fun party. Also, if you reach out to the company called Norsk or GNL, they will actually have a boat going from the rye to the Heineken Experience. So if you want to reach out to them and talk to them, they might be able to get you on that boat. I don't know what they're like. I know they're putting, they're the ones organizing attendance on the boat. But yes, the -IF party.
Well, I'll put my marketing hat as well. There's so I can't tell too many details about it because it's there's an Ateme VIP party, which is invitational only, but if you are invited, I'm sure this one is going to be a blast. I've heard about the programmation. I think it's going to be super, super interesting.
Yeah, Microsoft is hosting a happy hour in its booth opening day. So the Friday, I think the last 2 hours of the opening day, we're serving cocktails and beer and all that good stuff in the booth. And then I believe we have an invite-only canal cruise on Saturday night that I was warned I'm not allowed to make plans on Saturday because I have to go on a boat cruise.
That's so IBC. The boat cruise, so IBC. Awesome. So, well, thank you all very much. Thank you very much, Olga, Francois, and Andy, for your time. Thanks to all the audience. And we'll see you maybe in a couple of months, and let's see who won on the topic of the year for IBC. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, JP.